CM Punk said what he said about the family, about the legacy, about things that Rikishi, the patriarch, the father, the man who raised Jimmy and GUSO from childhood into the greatest tag team professional wrestling has ever produced, has spent his entire life building and protecting. And when those words reached Rikishi, when the man who dedicated everything to this family received confirmation of what CM Punk had chosen to say, he broke his silence. And what a father said to his sons has made the entire wrestling world stop breathing. A father speaking to his sons in the most public, most necessary, most completely genuine way available. This is not a wrestling promo. This is not a rivalry escalation. This is Rikishi, one of the most beloved figures in the history of this sport, choosing his moment, finding his words, and delivering something to Jimmy and GUSO that no championship, no faction reunion, no WrestleMania moment can equal. We are honoring every word of it right now. Suplex Rumble Nation, welcome back. I am your host, and today we are covering a moment that exists in a completely different category from everything else the 2026 WWE calendar has produced. We have covered Roman Reigns breaking his silence, The Rock's emergency meeting, Seth Rollins' heartfelt message, the Shield reunion on March 10th, the ambush, the stretcher, every extraordinary development in the most personal, most emotionally charged WWE rivalry of the modern era. But what Rikishi did, the specific, deliberate, completely loving choice that Jimmy and GUSO's father made to break his silence after CM Punk's disrespect and send his sons a message that the entire wrestling world could hear, is the most human moment this entire chapter has produced, because it comes from outside the competitive landscape entirely. From a father who watched what was done to his family and found that silence was no longer something he could maintain. Rikishi is not a current WWE performer. He is not a faction member or a competitive participant in the WrestleMania 42 program. He is something more important than any of those things. He is Jimmy and GUSO's dad. Subscribe if you are new. Notification bell immediately. Drop a comment right now. Did Rikishi's message to his sons make you emotional? Because Suplex Rumble Nation, I am not ashamed to tell you it made me emotional. Let's go into every extraordinary layer of this together. Before we honor the specific message Rikishi sent to his sons, before we examine every word and every dimension of what a father's broken silence means in this extraordinary context, we need to spend real, dedicated time establishing who Rikishi is. Not for the wrestling historians in this community who know every chapter of his story. For the newer members of Suplex Rumble Nation who deserve the complete picture of why this specific voice, breaking this specific silence, carries the weight it carries. Rikishi Solo Fatu Jr., member of the Anoa'i family, father of Jimmy and GUSO, is one of the most significant figures in the generational story of professional wrestling's most decorated family. His career as a performer spans some of the most beloved and most entertaining chapters in WWE history. His in-ring presence, his connection with the audience, the specific quality of genuine warmth and competitive excellence that defined his championship years, all of it contributed to a legacy that stands independently and powerfully on its own terms. But Rikishi's most significant contribution to professional wrestling is not any championship or any match or any individual career achievement. It is his sons. Jimmy and GUSO, the greatest tag team in professional wrestling history by the most comprehensive available assessment, are Rikishi's sons. Not just biologically. In every sense that the word son contains, when a father has genuinely invested in the people his children become. The USO'S' love for each other, their competitive excellence, their specific quality of performing with complete joy, their resilience through the most complicated chapters of the Bloodline saga, all of it is shaped by the foundation their father built. The Anoa'i family's professional wrestling legacy is multi-generational in the most literal sense. Not simply connected by blood, but specifically, actively transmitted. Values passed down. Work ethic modeled. Love expressed through the specific, demanding, completely committed approach to professional wrestling that Rikishi himself embodied and his sons have carried forward. When CM Punk's disrespect reached that family, when the words that crossed the line penetrated into the genuine human foundation that the Anoa'i legacy is built on, it reached Rikishi, the father, the man who built what is being attacked, who raised the people who are being hurt, who has watched from outside the competitive framework as the family he dedicated his life to has been targeted with the most personal available ammunition. His silence until now was not indifference. It was the specific, patient, father's version of waiting for the right moment. And now that moment has arrived. CM Punk's disrespect the father comment, the refusal to apologize, the complete, documented chain of personal provocations that culminated in the entire Reigns family responding with everything available, received differently through Rikishi's perspective than through any other available lens. Because Rikishi is not Roman Reigns processing a competitive rival's personal attack. He is not The Rock responding as the family's most institutionally powerful figure. He is not even Jimmy or GUSO, the sons who were in the arena, who were present in the competitive environment, who experienced the disrespect in the specific, immediate, adrenaline-charged context of live WWE programming. Rikishi received it as a father receives news that his children have been hurt. From a distance, the specific, helpless distance of a parent who is not present in the place where the harm is occurring and cannot simply intervene physically. With the full, unmediated weight of someone whose protective instincts are activated with no immediate outlet available. With the particular quality of parental fury that is simultaneously the most powerful and the most constrained emotion available, powerful because it is rooted in the deepest love, constrained because the forum and the framework do not accommodate a father simply arriving and addressing the situation directly. He watched. He processed. He maintained his silence because Rikishi, whose wisdom about this family and this industry is the wisdom of someone who has lived every chapter of both, understood that the moment for his voice had not yet arrived. He watched the bloodline reunify, watched Roman break his silence, watched Seth Rollins reach out with his heartfelt message, watched the ambush and the stretcher and the Rock's verbal destruction, watched every dimension of the family's response to CM Punk's disrespect express itself through the competitive and institutional channels available. And then, when all of that had been delivered, when every other voice in the family had spoken, when the last available silence was his own, Rikishi decided that his sons needed to hear from their father. Rikishi's broken silence, the specific message the father of the USO'S chose to deliver after CM Punk's disrespect had run its full course without apology, is the most tender, most powerful, most completely human piece of communication this entire 2026 WWE chapter has produced, and I want to honor it with every ounce of care and analytical attention this community deserves. He did not begin with CM Punk. This is the first and most essential thing to understand about the structure of Rikishi's message. The man who disrespected the family whose choices generated the need for this broken silence is not the subject of what Rikishi chose to say. CM Punk is the context, the reason the message became necessary, but he is not the message. The message is about Jimmy and G. Rikishi began with his sons, with the specific, personal, completely unperformed acknowledgement that he sees them not as WWE performers, not as bloodline members, not as the greatest tag team in professional wrestling history, but as his children, the two people he has watched grow from the beginning of their lives into the extraordinary men they have become, seen in all the specific, irreplaceable ways that only a parent can see a child. In the complete picture, every version of them, every age, every moment of difficulty and triumph and growth that a father accumulates across the years of raising someone. He told them what they mean to him. And the specific language Rikishi chose, not the generalized, publicly appropriate acknowledgement of family significance that the usual WWE platform produces, but the specific